Oh my God, guys! Antonio Brown coming off suspension. He looks like he's going to come back to the league. Wow, could have huge fantasy implications. He could go to the Eagles. The Eagles totally need him. He could even go to the. Oh my God! Imagine him with Aaron Rodgers on the.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What?
What? What?
He's going to the Buccaneers. He's going to go play with. He's going to go. He's going to.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Welcome into Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. This is your host, Noah Obseld, and as always with me is Michael Smith and Jared Williams. And big news we just got a few minutes ago with Antonio Brown going to the Buccaneers. We'll get into that. But guys, despite the terrible news, how are you guys doing? How's fantasy treating you?
Terrible, actually. Finally, the injury bug is hitting my team. It's taking all of my running backs. I have Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon. They're all dispersing. I started Devonta Freeman in a league. It's not going well.
I can echo the same sentiment, but for different reasons. The first 0-3 week across all leagues for me. I'm at the bottom. I'm ready to turn that around.
Well, I had a great fantasy week. I lost in the two leagues where I'm just like sitting pretty in the playoffs. I'm not really worried. I lost in those, and in the four leagues where there's some contention to be had, I went 4 for 4. So it was I should have gone 6 for 6. It was crazy losses, but I'm very happy with the week. Tough news for Godwin and Evans, but we're sitting pretty. So, I mean, let's just hop right into it. We got some big news this week. It was more of like a shifting around week, less of like a big waiver week. Kind of seemed like there was some stability in the NFL a little bit until maybe like today. So right off the bat, let's start off with Antonio Brown. So it looks clear. We're not sure 100%, but it looks pretty clear. Antonio Brown's going to go to the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are continuing their circus act, just bringing everybody who's ever had a name, right?
Yep.
And, I mean, why not? But also, like, why, right? So
it's purely because they're not going to have to pay him that much this year. It's going to be a one-year deal. They don't need him, but with the amount of injuries they have at receiver, where Mike Evans is always missing weeks, Chris Godwin's always missing weeks, why not just bring in possibly still the best receiver in the NFL? I know he hasn't played any, but there's no doubt in my mind he's going to come in and he's going to be in football shape within a week. And he's going to be competing as a top 5 receiver in the NFL already.
Yeah, I think as long as there's a safe environment for him to come in and they can kind of nurture him and not have what happened in Oakland, then I think, the talent's going to be there, like Jared said. So I think if you're the Bucs and you believe in yourself and the culture and, Tom Brady, and you have so many guys there that can show him show him the way, then I think it's sort of a dunk because they always have injuries, like Jared said. And he's been off of social media and he's been working out twice a day. So, it looks like he has his head on screwed right. I'm interested to see how it ends and how it works out, but I guess just go.
There's two silver linings to the situation for me. First of all, is what Jared said, is that someone's always injured. So I don't, there will be a few games where you have all 3 superstar receivers on the field at once. And unless, you're playing the Falcons or I don't know who, just, the Seahawks, it's going to be tough to pick and choose. But the good thing is these guys are all, older, injury susceptible. I don't want anyone in the NFL to get injured, but it should be, only 2 playing at a time for at least some of the games. And the second thing is, honestly, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that maybe not, football-wise, but culture-wise and personal-wise, like that's better for Antonio Brown right now. Talk about stability. You got Bruce Arians, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, like a good defense, just like a stable place, not a lot of culture shifting to be had. Bruce Arians runs a tight ship, and Tom Brady obviously doesn't mess around. Going to the Seahawks, I think that he might have been detrimental to the team. They have such a tight, incredible culture there. So I think it's a good situation for everybody. It's just like, why do you need another guy? But why not? I guess is the pretty much the thesis. So we'll see.
Fantasy implications of it.
Yeah,
Where do you see? Hopefully, you picked him up. Obviously, he should be rostered in every single league. Where do you guys see him going forward? And where do you see Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's values going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he should be rostered in like a 10-man league. Like, I honestly, it's just there's not. I don't know how much volume is going to be able to go around. I mean, he's a great athlete. He's going to take a few weeks to get into the system. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to have the 1 and 2 positions for the time being. So I'm not as high as everyone else is on him. Obviously, he was great in like one game with Tom Brady, but I'm not so excited about it fantasy wise.
Yeah, I obviously, if I had the chance, would have pounced on him just to wait and see because the potential could be there. And you could have a week where Evans is out or got both of them are out and he's like, just a stud. But I'm just really intrigued to see. I think it takes more away from Evans, and I think Godwin's still going to be safe underneath because I think when Godwin has played, Brady and Godwin have seemed to have great chemistry. I think for Godwin, Gronk's involvement has really been to his detriment because last week Gronk had plenty of targets and even scored, and that's sort of the role they want Godwin to play underneath or over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for Tom Brady, this is incredible. It's hard to protect those receivers.
When's the last time, assuming Antonio Brown comes back and is close to as good as he was in the past, when's the last time we've seen a receiving core this good? I mean,
Jeez.
maybe the Cowboys in 2 years, like
The Cowboys this year?
No, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
the NFL is changing so much where you can it's kind of becoming more of an NBA league. I feel like where you can kind of just say we want to win a championship. I don't really care what other people are doing. Why not? So let's move on. News that kind of seems like whatever now. TUA, Tagovailoa to start in Miami. We have Ryan Fitzpatrick coming off a classic start to the season, a top 8 quarterback, just lighting it up with a team that is pretty much forgotten as a playoff contender. Actually, 3-3, only losses to very good teams, and then they just say, you know what? Let's go for the future. Let's just throw this year away. Let's put Tua in. So let's just talk about, the implications. Here's a quick quote from Ryan Fitzpatrick to just kind of just give you a tear or two. My heart just hurt all day. It was heartbreaking for me. I've been a starter. I've been benched all kinds of different ways, but this one just really more than any of them. I just felt fully committed, invested, and felt like it was my team. Damn.
Yeah.
That's rough. I feel like, who in the NFL do you have to just veteran respect more than him? But in terms of fantasy implications, I'm going to bring up a lot of target stuff this week, but one big implication I want to talk about is on the running back. Myles Gaskin has been this breakout, no-name guy that's really like a solid RB2 now, just an incredible floor.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take a dive into the target station, I guess that's its name, 27 receptions on 29 targets this year. That's incredible efficiency. Obviously, running backs are expected to catch most of their targets, but how do you guys think will this affect Myles Gaskin going forward as a really solid RB2?
I think for now you have to consider him an RB2 still going forward because Tua is such a dynamic player. You got to think that he's going to be able to move the ball down the field. Maybe not the same exact way that Fitzmagic did with all these dump offs, but the ball's still going to be moving. They have a lot of playmakers on that team, and their defense is no joke. And I think the way Myles Gaskin plays, he's efficient in the run and pass game. So if their offense is rolling, he's going to be still seeing a lot of targets, still getting a lot of goal line work. Jordan Howard's not even playing anymore, so he's not going to be vulturing any touchdowns on the goal line.
I want to trade him.
Right. I still love Myles Gaskin. Matt Breida is now the full-time backup. Definitely a droppable player in my opinion. Yeah.
I agree with Jared, and I think Myles Gaskin's even someone you can trade for. Over the last 4 games, he's averaged 21 touches. They clearly want to get him the ball. And I don't necessarily think this is them throwing the towel in on this year. This is their guy. And you can see what impact rookie quarterbacks have had. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert have been very good quarterbacks. And I think, I don't think the drop-off is that significant. And it may be early on, but by the end of the year, once they start clicking, they have enough weapons for Tua to be successful. So I honestly like Gaskin as much, even more now.
Yeah. I don't know if I would say even more. I think, you can give a little bump to Gesicki as the, safety net for a rookie quarterback. The one guy I am really worried about is Preston Williams. We've seen this resurgence where he's actually become like rosterable and it's kind of startable in like a deep league flex. But I think that the volume's not going to be able to be kept up for the deep, ball guy. Because, that's the big concern with Tua is the deep ball, even though he had a lot of that, highlights in college, when you transfer to the NFL, it's not the same. Devontae Parker, I'm worried about, but I think come playoff time, he should be about at the same value that we've seen now. And, I mean, we've seen these rookie quarterbacks this year, Burrow and Herbert, just come in and just kind of look like a starter right away. So I'm not I think it's going to take longer for that transition for Tua. He's left-handed. This offense is very used to Ryan Fitzpatrick and is kind of, doing really well. So I think it's going to take a little longer for everything to get into adjustment, but that's going to be a time to buy low if Gaskin or if Parker, is having a few down games. Okay.
Love it. Oh, and in terms of Tua,
yeah,
I don't know if he's a must-add in a 10-team league.
No,
a 12-team league, if you don't have a QB, this is a guy that he can use his feet, so maybe there's something there. I wasn't really jumping the gun to get him, especially on bye this week, but
I think 14-man is
14-man
there.
Probably must-add.
Yeah. Huge news that not really huge anymore. It kind of just seems like, a few months ago, these like all-time Steelers players, I guess, go into powerhouses. Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs, another why not? Another why, but why not? So Le'Veon Bell, we've just seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I don't think I've heard a stat more than in like all media than this is the game that Andy Reid ran the most running back runnings ever. Oh my God. I've heard that like 15 times. Okay, we get it. He's running Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Le'Veon Bell's not going to break up this team as much as people think. I think he's going to come in. They drafted Clyde in the first round. He's going to come in. He's going to be a third down guy. The one thing I am worried about that though is Clyde Edwards-Helaire has had terrible red zone efficiency. He hasn't had a single goal line touchdown, and I think that they're worried about that. That's just a simple thing that even the team like the Chiefs needs, and I think Le'Veon Bell can offer that. So I am worried about Clyde Edwards-Helaire's ceiling, especially, but in PPR, I think I'm still pretty comfortable with him as like a mid RB2.
We've talked about two teams and two of my trade targets. I would target Clyde Edwards-Helaire because people are acting like the world is falling for him. I get he's not upside RB1, potentially a top 5 running back anymore, but running back is so scarce nowadays that if you get someone that's scared about, Le'Veon Bell, he's still Le'Veon Bell. He's still a top 3 running back in the league talent-wise. It was just the Jets. Then get someone to pounce on him. There's a lot of people that say Le'Veon Bell is still Le'Veon Bell of old, and it was just I messed him up. And I think for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, yes, he's been incredibly inefficient in the red zone, but he's had 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks called back on. The one against the Bills was non-existent. There was a hold call that the lineman just pancaked his guy in the ground. So I do think he struggled in the red zone, and Le'Veon Bell is going to become the red zone guy, but I think Clyde could also break one off or still get red zone to work a little bit. So, I don't think the world is falling with Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I don't think the world is falling, but this move for me definitely solidifies him as an RB2 moving forward. And I don't see him anywhere near the draft value where you drafted him. I don't see him as a top 10 back. I don't see him as a top 12 back.
And let me just say, did I not tweet that he would not return first-round value and then subsequently be asked by you guys to delete it?
Given the situation.
Right now, is he returning first-round value? No. Let's move on. One interesting thing and a reason why you might want to trade for Helaire is that they're playing the Broncos this week, who have this randomly excellent run defense. So Mahomes is going to be passing all over them. They're going to be running Darrell Williams, when they're ahead by 40, and he's going to have an off week. I think so. So you know what? I might even put him as my dud. That being said, if he does have an off week, it's going to be a great time to buy him. Mostert back on IR. I mean, that 49ers running back carousel just keeps getting more and more exciting. So I guess Jerick McKinnon's pretty much must start. Maybe not against the Patriots, but He's back in your RB2, like very solid. Mostert, actually, I think he's a good trade target right now. I think his owners are like, this guy is great, but he's injured all the time. And if they need, I would totally trade. If you're in sitting pretty, I would totally trade McKinnon right now for Mostert. And I think he comes back in the end of the league, has another 4-week healthy resurgence where he's like an RB1. And when the 49ers, I think the 49ers will totally figure out the offense. So
he's the most. He's so watching Raheem Mostert run when he's healthy. He's so talented. He just came out when he came, and people still don't know who he is. He's
he doesn't really have a great. It's crazy how many NFL players have just super solid names, just celebrity names: Taylor Swift, Tom Brady. But Raheem Mostert, that's a kind of like my name, a little bit complicated, not doesn't really roll off the tongue. That's kind of why my NFL career.
One quick
sideways.
thing on him is, so he has a high ankle sprain.
Breaking news update: Antonio Brown and the Buccaneers have reached a 1-year deal. Sources. Makes his Bucs debut in Week 9 against the Saints.
Wow.
Woo!
Well, good
Mike
thing
Thomas will be back. Emmanuel Sanders will be healthy again. That's another thing we should probably talk about.
Sorry about Mostert though is it's a high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing CMC had. I've seen some people talking about how this is a guy that if you're strapped for positions on your team and you need to go get someone, that he's borderline droppable. I don't know if I drop him, but this is something where I think he could be missing anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and he's only going to be back for
it's a gamble.
If you are going to make playoffs, keep him. If not, I would be pushing him immediately.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, quick, fun little debate. Are the Jets the worst team ever? And here's our two competitors. We have the 2017 Browns. This is the year after they drafted Myles Garrett. We had, what's his name out of Notre Dame, who was supposed to be the next coming of Jesus Christ. As the quarterback. Yeah,
DeShone Kizer. Kizer. He was like a
DeShone
second-round pick.
Former
I know, he was a high pick. And then we have, of course, the 2008 Lions, not as fresh in our memories, but a perfect season team nonetheless. I mean, it's so clear the Jets are just fully tanking. They do not care at all. Everyone trading everyone away. They're just like, they look at the Dolphins. They're like, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Let's go get the kid from Clemson and just start from scratch. So, worst team ever? Worse than 2017 Browns?
I'm going to go no on this one. I think they will go 0-16, but I do not think they're the worst team ever.
Mike?
Jared, I would give their owner and GM credit by saying I think they're holding on to Gase so they tank for Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I trust the owner and GM. I'm agreeing with Jared that
Thank you, brother.
They could potentially go 0-16, but I don't think I want to label them with that. I think it is impressive, though, that the Jets franchise has done what the Browns have done for 20 years, and they've done it in like 2 years. That they've become a team that everyone just acknowledges as like the worst ever.
Yeah.
Amazing. So Joe Mixon out.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, we'll see. And then let's continue. Let's get into some Thursday Night Football. We have a battle of NFC East playoff contenders, the Eagles and the Giants. And honestly, we keep having these terrible, terrible Thursday night matchups that turn into these amazing games to watch. It's so fun to watch. I mean, the Eagles are a whole different, just the worst in their category of just, it's crazy. The amount of moving pieces, amount of injuries happening consistently for the past 3 years to the same guys. Ertz is going IR. Goddard's supposed to come off IR in week 10. We have Rager, the first-round rookie, coming off IR maybe next week. Sanders is out 1 to 2 weeks, maybe more. Deshaun Jackson injured in the game, probably out a few weeks. Did Alshon even see the field?
No, he didn't play.
It's just wild. But
I think they need to completely scrap their skilled players, and I think they're just kicking themselves knowing that they took Rager the pick before Justin Jefferson, who's just
what a terrible move.
People always try to go to the slightly lesser conferences or lesser teams and just be like, this guy just didn't see the LSU team opportunity, the TCU hidden gem. And it's just like, get the guy who won the championship. Like, he was very good with an
It seems like
NFL caliber.
you should be in the front office for the Raiders, man. They love them.
Clemson and Bama.
I love those. Yeah. I mean, you need to get Carson Wentz and Antonio Brown, but then you got to also go for, your mainstream guys as well. But
yeah,
what
on
a
the
game.
Eagles, I think something to note here is that Carson Wentz takes a lot of shit, and deservingly so, and sometimes, but his schedule has been tough. His schedule is a breeze moving forward. He's getting all these guys back. He's still been putting up 20 to 30 points a week.
I know.
This is a
It's
guy
wild.
you can target. I don't understand it, but I kind of love it. The Giants, nothing to talk about there. I wouldn't even add Wayne Gallman this week, especially if Devonta Freeman is playing. I feel like that's going to be a timeshare moving forward.
Dude, Daniel Jones was my favorite late-round quarterback this year. And, I mean, obviously with Saquon out, you kind of scrap that shit. But, this 80-yard run is just – how does he do it? He does this amazing thing, and then he has to just Daniel Jones it somehow. I mean, we've seen enough jokes about that. There's not really any more to be had. One thing I want to say, though, is no time left. Perfect ball to Boston Scott, 5'8" or something, right over Peppers. And, I mean – I think it's Pepper. I mean, that ball was perfect. We give Carson Wentz so much shit. Yeah, I mean, we give Carson Wentz so much shit, and he just comes out, puts up great fantasy days, and wins games, and he's probably going to go to the playoffs. I mean, that's probably the team to win the NFC East. And if they can actually field a healthy offense, I mean, they can compete with anybody. Fulgham's amazing. I love him. I love him as a dynasty as well.
Later.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
Let's
really,
talk about the waiver week.
Yeah, not a big waiver week. Mikey, you got anything?
There's one guy I would look at if you're like every team scrambling for a running back, and it's J.D. McKissick. Especially if you're in a PPR league.
PPR.
The reason Washington hasn't really given this backfield to Antonio Gibson, and over the last 4 weeks, he's averaged 6 catches for over 40 yards, and I mean, the volume's just going to be there. They're playing the Cowboys. So I agree. It's not really that big of a waiver week. And McKissick isn't really moving the needle, but as someone in a PPR league, you can put in flex. And
this is the part of the season, we're into week 7 where teams are, figuring out their lineups. We're figuring out which players are going to have which roles on teams, and waivers are going to be more and more thin as we go down. Obviously, injuries will happen, and that'll shake it up, and bye weeks. But in terms of those hidden gems, James Robinson, whoever it may be, those are kind of gone. So how do you make your team better? Trading. Let's get into some trade targets. I have a lot this week. Do you guys want to if you guys want to grab a coffee, maybe, go pick up your daughter from basketball, go for it. Okay. Jerry Jeudy. We have a guy who people are claiming is the best receiver of all time. We have Drew Lock back. Another team that's just injury shit show. Jerry Jeudy's going to come back and be a solid high-end wide receiver 3, low-end 2 for Drew Lock, who is a good quarterback. And again, Noah Fant, same reason, had an incredible start to the season, and I love him going forward. Next, PPR only, James White. Talked about it last week. He's quietly getting 8 receptions every week. And if you're in a PPR, that's excellent floor. I mean, Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, not going to work out. I mean, that defense is really just working hard in New England. And James White's a great safety blanket for Cam. Next, we got J.K. Dobbins. Now, I want to take a look to the Baltimore carries. And they're going to the bye week. And what is Baltimore saying? They're saying, guys, we had one of the best offenses we've seen in recent history last year. And this year, we can't figure it out. Mark Ingram, here's super interesting. Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson, both have 50 carries on the year, and Gus Edwards has 48, okay? Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards are both averaging 4.5 yards per carry. I mean, it's just kind of like, me and Mike, we kind of look the same. We're both, similar weight, similar height.
Yep. Same
But,
structure.
right, same structure. Same job security. And then we have J.K. Dobbins, 25 carries, but averaging 6.2 yards per carry. And you could say, no.
That's Jared.
Yes, exactly. You could say no. This is just because, they're putting him in on third down. They're making him a change of pace back. They drafted this guy, Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards. No one's considering these guys, breakaway running backs. Ingram had an incredible year last year because of the fear of Lamar Jackson that he is not instilling as much this year because he's not throwing as much and he's not throwing as good. I love J.K. Dobbins coming out of the bye. I talked to him at the beginning of the season as a second half season guy, and I think they're going to lean on him more because they can't lean on Lamar's magic anymore because they're tight in games and they're still a playoff contender. And they're going to get him more involved, and I love J.K. Dobbins. You could probably pick him off some waiver wires too. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Not really. Goddard,
Hey,
Dallas
you give
Goddard.
2 more, then I'll give mine, and then we'll come back.
Okay, fair. Dallas Goddard, I just think once he comes back, is going to be a solid guy, and he's like dirt cheap. And Mike Williams, we've seen Justin Herbert's deep ball is muy bueno. Mike Williams had an incredible week last week going up for those deep balls, and he kind of is like a big Henry Ruggs, I feel like, where he just needs 2-3 balls to make his fantasy day. And I love Justin Herbert going forward, and I think Mike Williams is going to be a solid flex play and going to be better than his value now.
All right, I'll go next. A couple guys coming off bad games or just okay games, and one, Joe Mixon being hurt. Talked about him last week as a guy to target, especially now with him being hurt for this game. Joe Mixon's not really an injury-prone guy. He plays most of the games. Last year he played every game, and he's finally getting involved in the passing game. The offense is moving. So I think now is a time to target Joe Mixon. Robbie Anderson had one of his first bad weeks of the year last week, and I still view Robbie Anderson as a top 15 receiver going forward. And then another guy that we talked about with the Eagles that Noah said he liked, Travis Fulgham. This guy is an absolute baller, and he's still getting targeted double-digit targets the past 3 weeks. Well, Deshaun Jackson played. He got hurt, so he's out of the picture again. Alshon Jeffrey's going to come back. I don't see him taking any of Travis Fulgham's work. I really, really love Travis Fulgham going forward. I think he could be a top 25 receiver going forward, and people they'll just view him as a guy that isn't going to be putting up production once all these receivers come back for the Eagles, but I still love him.
Mike?
A couple larger names, well, I guess one larger name, and this actually would be good.
Jeez, man.
Is Devontae Adams, in that he's had a bye, he's been hurt for a week. I think if you own Devontae Adams, you may not actually value him as a top 2-3 receiver, which he is. I mean, he could come back and over the rest of the year be the wide receiver 1, especially with Lazard hurt and the injuries that they have. So I would look to target Devontae Adams if you could sell someone that has played really well, out and isn't going to continue. Try to package him 2-for-1, get Devontae Adams. And someone that I think is going to break out and finish the year higher than where he is right now is DJ Moore. And people act like he's had this horrible year. He's wide receiver 22, which again is not great. It's not where you drafted him. He's on pace for over 70 catches, over 1,200 yards. And the reason why he's been lagging is because of touchdowns. And I think it's going to come, and I think it's going to come big. And in fact, I think he's going to score at least once or twice this week against the Saints. I just think DJ Moore is starting to develop a rapport with Teddy Bridgewater and had 11 targets last week. I just think he's going to break out, and I think people are acting like he's been horrible this year.
So let me just say, this is really interesting because we have Michael on team DJ Moore and Jared on team Robbie Anderson. So quick, Robbie Anderson has had more targets on the year, but this past week he had 5 to DJ Moore's 11. And let's take another dip into the target station where I have some numbers rigged up. Robbie Anderson, 39 catches on 52 targets. DJ Moore, 27 catches on 48 targets. So DJ Moore, about the same in targets. Just DJ Moore has been far less efficient. And they're pretty similar style receivers, I'd say. But I think you guys got to put your money where your mouth is, smack it on the wall. I mean, for week 7 and beyond, I mean, personally, I'm gonna go Team Michael. I think DJ Moore has the better rest of the season. Michael, are you gonna pick Robbie Anderson? Team Robbie?
I'm picking DJ.
I mean Jared. Excuse me.
So
Oh,
the thing is that I'm happy that we're even having this conversation. That it's even a conversation.
it's a yes or no question.
Dude, you got this is
That being
content for the
said,
show.
I
It's a
will
yes.
take Robbie Anderson.
There you go.
Okay.
For the show, buddy.
No.
Continuing
that's just my
Continue on my list of trade targets. I'll just roll through these one. T. Higgins, we've talked about so much. Michael's been loving T. Higgins. I'm fully on board now. He's totally taking that AJ Green role, and I think he could totally be kind of like an AJ Green type guy, especially with I think he's incredible buy in Dynasty. I should have traded him for Noah Fant when I had the chance. Chase Claypool, legit, and Justin Jackson, I think you could buy net low if you need wins now. Eckler's going to be out, quote, later than sooner. Okay. Trade away, same exact guys last week, but now even better value for Kenyon Drake and Le'Veon Bell.
Love it. All right, I had put Mike Evans before Antonio Brown signed. I would try and trade away Mike Evans.
Oh my God,
as
yes.
soon as possible. If you can get someone like a Robbie Anderson, speak of the devil.
I like that.
I would love that. And another one, Juju, big name value guy, a guy that was taken in the third round of
So
some drafts.
weird.
Really do not like this guy at all, especially with Deontay coming back, Claypool coming back. I tried to avoid Juju so much coming here, and he kept falling.
I hate Juju. All my friends hate Juju.
It seemed like a personal attack.
I know, it was very personal.
He's turning into
It's
Zach
because
Ertz of wide receivers. He had 2 catches for 6 yards last week. I mean,
That's really bad.
That's a guy you want to sell low.
All right, I'm going to plug my ears for this next one. La, 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 la.
Still
can't
selling
hear you.
James Robinson. Last week was supposed to be a terrific week. The Jags were supposed to be in the game against the Lions. They got blown out immediately. And so playing from behind, that's exactly what's going to happen in the second half of the year. And I have to thank Adam Gase because all of this talk about the Jets is taken away from the fact that the Jags are probably going 1-15. They do not have a winnable game left on their schedule. It
You
might be
thought they were going to win.
about someone like Trevor Lawrence, but I think James Robinson's just going to be in so many negative game scripts, and people have now valued him as a high-end RB2, and he may be that, but I just think going forward, he's not going to return that value.
All right. Sweet. Let's get into some quick bye-week analysis. Just real quick. Alexander Madison, do you still keep him on as a handcuff?
If you have Dalvin Cook, yes. If not, no.
Okay. Guys, we're going to get into my little fun section of the week. I have some questions for you all, and I have a new segment called Is That Cap? Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Cap as in CAP or KAEP?
Good question. CAP.
Oh, my God.
Brandon Cooks, high-end wide receiver 3. Is that cap?
No cap.
No.
That means, yes, he will be a wide receiver 3.
Who is here's a quiz question, and I'll ask the question after. Name me the top, not counting Dak, because he's averaging 371 yards per game before he got injured. Not counting the next guy is 307, and then it's so just crazy difference. But who are the top 3 quarterbacks in yards per game?
Passing or total?
Passing
So not total, so per game?
per game, passing yards.
It would be Josh Allen, but last week he had like 100 passing yards. It's probably not him.
2 are pretty obvious. One's not obvious. Is the point of it?
Is one Kirk Cousins?
No, what?
Okay. I was like, maybe that's the not obvious.
I'm going to say
Really, 2 really obvious guys. You got it.
Matt Ryan?
There you
No,
go.
it's-
There's one. He's number 1.
I thought that was a sneaky, not obvious one.
That's
Rodgers?
Had one bit. Nope.
John?
Come on. What?
John?
Really obvious. Who's like the best passing offense in the league?
Mahomes.
Not Mahomes.
Russ.
Russ.
There you go, Russ. And who is third? So Matt Ryan 307, Russ 300, and third Justin Herbert with 299 yards per game. I love Justin Herbert going forward. I bought him in Dynasty. I have him in like 4 leagues. He's been a quiet like mid QB1, and you can probably get him for nothing right now. So my question is Justin Herbert is an every week starter. Is that cap?
No cap.
Mm-mm.
When you tweeted once Justin Herbert became the starter, you tweeted he's a must add in all 14 team leagues. I think
Yes.
or something along those lines. And
Something
that's
like
the
that.
truth. I thought he was going to have better running games because we saw out of Oregon, the dude can hustle. He was like Daniel Jones
but
running.
He hasn't needed to. And the best part of it, the defense is terrible. They lost everybody.
And Eckler isn't running the ball. So he has to pass.
Exactly. Last question. Robert Tonyan, tight end 1 rest of season. Is that cap?
That's cap.
Just tight end after top 4 is just an absolute
whatever. I like Robert Tonyan going forward.
I think he can be tight end 8 rest of the season.
I don't like him with Devontae back.
All right, let's get on to some games, starting with the Panthers and the Saints. We'll go through these real quick. Michael Thomas likely out. No, he's not likely out. He is out. Emmanuel Sanders out. I mean, you got Alvin Kamara as maybe going to be 70 PPR points this week, and Traquan Smith. Yeah, not much else there. We'll go into DFS later, but if either of you guys don't have Alvin Kamara in your team, I'd be very surprised. Do you guys both have him in your team? He's very expensive.
Have him in my team.
All right, we'll see. And we went to the Panthers already. Let's keep going.
Yep.
Jared, what you got?
All right, Browns and Bengals. The only thing I really want to talk about is we talked about T. Higgins already. AJ Green, he finally has a decent game. And I think that's because they've transitioned him from the role that T. Higgins now has, where T. Higgins moving down the field and AJ Green he's running these 10-yard curl routes, which is definitely what he should be doing. So I think AJ Green, he could be this, 5 catches, 50-yard kind of guy going forward. I still think he's a drop. You don't have to own him if you have other people, but if you're in a deep league, you need some guy that could put up 5 to 8 points. AJ Green could be that guy. And then on the other side of the ball, the Browns, all this says is Kareem Hunt's going to have a massive game against the Bengals. This guy's probably going to put up at least 20 fantasy points. Absolutely love him. That's about it for there.
Sweet.
Let's
get into this one.
We
got to talk about it.
Do you want to get into this one? The Cowboys and the Washington football team.
No. Washington, we don't have to talk about. We had to talk about the Cowboys offense because this was a shit show last week against a good defense that I thought they could take advantage of. I thought this was going to be more of a shootout. They got absolutely demolished by a mid-tier defense. Michael, what do you see for these top-tier receivers and Zeke going forward?
I definitely see better days ahead for Zeke. I don't think he's going to fumble twice a game. And I think they're going to have to be in closer games. I think their way to win is going to be controlling the clock and feeding Zeke. It's going to be tough, though, because their offensive line is absolutely ravaged with injuries. So I think Zeke will be fine.
Guess how many targets Zeke had this week?
He had double-digit targets.
10 targets.
Yeah,
you want this team to be bad for Zeke to do well because he's going to be catching balls.
Yeah. But I think on the flip side, if they're doing well, he's running well.
Right.
Capturing value running instead of passing. But I think Amari Cooper is going to be fine. I think CD is going to be fine. Obviously, I'm worried about Gallup.
You got to
drop in Gallup. Yeah. The thing is, though, about Gallup, though, is he's you're talking about wide receiver handcuffs. One of the best wide receiver handcuffs there is.
I think he's going to be traded.
That would be so interesting.
He should, if they don't trade him, because you could maybe get a second-round pick for him. He's got one more year in his contract.
You can't get a second-round pick for Gallup.
There's a chance.
I think the Patriots would give him.
If Mohamed Sanu got a second-round pick last year, you can get a second-round pick for Michael Gallup.
That's a great comparison.
Thank you.
That is good. But yeah, I'm worried about the Cowboys pass catchers, and I'm worried about Zeke. Zeke's floor is down just because of the offense. He's not going to be able to get his 3 touchdown game anymore. But yeah, moving on to Packers and Texans. I think it says in the doc here, congratulate Noah on predicting Brandon Cooks. So if you guys want to just do that real quick, we can.
Did you write that in? Yourself?
No, I think someone else probably wrote that in.
I don't think I did.
Did you write? It must have been Kieran. Thank you, Kieran. Appreciate it. Let's hop back into the target station. Let's look at
Here
this.
we
Is one
go.
of my favorites of the week. Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks. Who has more receptions and who has more targets?
This week or going forward?
No, totals on the season.
Oh,
Uh,
well, Will Fuller missed the game.
Cooks
And he
for
had a
both,
dud
I'd
week.
say.
Yeah.
Will Fuller is 28 for 40, and Brandon Cooks is 27 for 40. Okay, these guys are neck and neck, and everywhere I see, we have Will Fuller ranked 10, 15 ranks above Will Fuller for the rest of the season. Yes, I would rather have Will Fuller the rest of the season. He's been doing amazing. But Brandon Cooks, I think it's still a buy low somehow. I mean, over the last 2 weeks, he's first in receptions in the league. And, I mean, that's going to obviously go down. But it's still Brandon Cooks and Deshaun Watson. I mean, we saw Brandon Cooks on the Rams where he was like in a 3 wide receiver set and he was successful. We saw, this is Deshaun Watson, a very powerful passer. And, like, I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver too by the end of the season.
Ooh.
Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Moving on. Packers crumbled against the Buccaneers. I think that throw it away. It's a throwaway game.
Mhm.
And, you're starting your Packers. I also like Robert Tonyan this week if you need him. Robert Tonyan or Jared Cooks this week? I'm asking for a
Tonyan.
friend.
Jared Cook's going to be a bust this week.
Wow. Bold.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and Aaron Jones, game time decision. If he doesn't play, Jamal Williams.
A.J. Dillon, deep league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have to start him, start him.
Again, and we don't talk enough about A.J. Dillon's quads. They're impeccable.
Yeah. It's almost to the point where we should have been Darwin Thompson level talking about A.J. Dillon. They have about the same fantasy value.
Lions versus the Falcons, the highest over-under of the week. I mean, is this Marvin? We thought Marvin Jones' week might be last week. Is this Marvin Jones' week? Is there ever going to be a Marvin Jones week?
He's the T.Y. Hilton of the Lions.
Whoa!
Thank
If
you.
there is ever a Marvin Jones week, it has to be this week.
It has to.
I just wouldn't.
Speaking of T.Y. Hilton, I just traded T.Y. Hilton and the Rams defense.
Traded T.Y. Hilton?
And the Rams defense 2 weeks ago for Justin Herbert, and now I'm sitting pretty like this.
Love it.
Okay, after losing Dak, but yeah.
Because I want to talk about this matchup, the only battle of unbeaten's left, and I said that very horribly, but Seahawks are still undefeated. I'm just saying that it's the only battle.
We get it. You did a great job.
Titans have had a very piss-poor secondary this year. It's been very disappointing. Of the Steelers' weapons, this is the first week that they're all healthy. Obviously, we don't like Juju Smith-Schuster, but does Deontay have a better week than Chase Claypool?
No.
I'd rather have Claypool right now.
I'd rather have Claypool going forward. I mean, I think these guys are putting up numbers, and everyone's like, oh, that's a sell, or you can't expect that production going forward. I mean, Claypool, I don't think he'll have another 4-touchdown game again, but Claypool, it's so weird. I think I'd rather have him than both of them.
Yeah. I think Deontay and Claypool are pretty close.
I like Deontay and DFS this week.
Claypool got traded for Gaskin, and just
That's
like maybe
value.
give you I'd rather have Gaskin for sure.
Yeah. But just that's just a running back. That's a bad value comparison. But the Titans, I mean, geez, Ryan Tannehill. As soon as you're freed from it, I mean,
start him this week.
Tannehill or Josh Allen. That's a bad one. Tannehill or Stafford.
Tannehill.
Over Stafford versus the Falcons?
Stafford.
Dude, I'll smack that on. That's smacking that on the wall. I got to get closer to the wall so you have a nice smack sound. That's crazy. I don't know about that one, buddy.
I mean, look what Stafford did against the Jags last week. No offense.
Yeah, but that's just because they kept falling down to the 1 yard line. That was just
exactly.
They
run the ball on the goal line.
Statistical anomaly.
Or a 1 yard tud to TJ Hawkinson.
That was tough to say. That's still a pass. Did you know that? If you pass to TJ Hawkinson, it counts as
my point is he didn't have that good of a week.
That's true. Anybody thought
in terms of fantasy.
Seahawks, Cardinals, another game I think that could just be, 70 points put up. I mean, Kenyon Drake had his crazy big game, but it was that one 70-yard, 63-yard touchdown run at the end of the game. I think he's a great sell. I've really been trying to sell him in my dynasty league. And then the Seahawks. No, I mean, good players there.
You know what to do there.
Yeah.
One thing is Tyler Lockett has had put up some bad weeks in a row. That's definitely a guy you can target.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a guy that Russell Wilson should target.
Yeah. Chiefs and Broncos. I mean, this is the dumpster bowl of the week, the toilet bowl. Two absolutely terrible teams.
Exactly.
Don't know who's going to win.
Dude, actually, I don't know. The Chiefs are pretty bad against people in their division, so maybe just chill a little bit.
One thing I want to bring up, we saw Phillip Lindsay who had full control of the backfield. Melvin Gordon's coming back this week, but there's rumors he's going to be suspended 2 to 3 games. If they're both playing, I don't think you can start Phillip Lindsay. And you can start Melvin Gordon probably. But if you have Phillip Lindsay, hold on to him. He's one of probably the highest ranked handcuffs right now, especially with Melvin Gordon. Probably going to be gone for a couple weeks.
Like it.
Okay. Anything else you want there?
I'm waiting on you to talk about your Jags, buddy.
Next one, and this one, I'm doing this for Kieran. Do y'all know where Justin Jackson went to college?
UCLA?
That's Joshua Kelly, bro.
I know, but I thought it'd be a fun double-double.
Northwestern University. And I will say my sister also went to Northwestern University and was in the same class as Justin Jackson.
Is he a nice guy?
Said that Justin Jackson was a very nice human being as well.
Well, he's a socialist.
Justin Jackson versus Joshua Kelly. Who is nicer? And
oh my God, that's a tough one.
I think for fantasy, it's got to be Justin Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jackson I mean, who do you want to date your sister? I mean, I gotta go with Justin Jackson. He's just got a good head on his shoulders. I mean, we'll see what Kieran has to say about this. I'm sure he's gonna be livid. But oh my God, I love Justin Herbert, by the way.
Yeah, and Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson's pretty good.
Here's a fun one, and we'll just see how big of a Jags fan Mike is right now. I have another. Let's talk into the Target Station. Is Target Station good?
It's open.
Is it? All right, we'll work on it. Maybe it's
Your
Target.
local Target.
My local. I mean, that's a little bit misleading. All right, so we had Keelan Cole's huge game this week. Right after I swindled some guy for Patriots defense for him. And sorry.
All I got to say is Jared about 3 weeks back said Keelan was absolutely terrible at football. And he's been better more this year. He's been wide receiver 21. If you started him every week, you've returned value. I'm not saying it is, but that's who he's been.
I don't want to talk about it.
But this is the thing. This is one of those guys where you keep saying, no way that's last. Every week, no way that lasts, no way that lasts. And then it just kind of keeps happening. And this is what the example I always think of is Nelson Aguilar like 3 years ago in the Eagles. I remember checking everyone on my waiver wire, and he was the wide receiver 16, and he was available everywhere. I mean, we have he's 20-something, but like he should be in all leagues rostered because that's just a great depth piece. But here's the target analysis. All right, Keelan Cole, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark. Okay, rank those three in receptions on the year.
Cole.
Just bang it out. Let's hear it. Just come on. It doesn't matter.
Cole.
I'm going to go Cole, Laviska, Chark.
That's
correct. Said. All right. Well, you didn't say it fast enough and hard enough. That's correct.
To bumble his way through.
My mic must have not come through.
It doesn't matter.
Hear me?
Cole. It doesn't matter. Cole has 27 receptions. Laviska 26 and DJ Chark 25. That's just a fun little thing.
I mean, Gardner Minshew throws the ball 50 times a game because they suck so much.
Yeah. And then here's targets, which is also fun. Keelan Cole, 38. Laviska, 36. Chark, 35. Point being, Chark's the guy going forward. But these guys are all viable, flex plays. And when you need them, depth pieces. I think Laviska and Chark will kind of trade off in big games. I think Laviska actually has a few big games coming up towards the end of the season, and Keelan Cole, I don't see him going over 100 again, but I think he's a great flex play. Mike, thoughts on your team?
I'd go Chark 1, Laviska Shenault 2, and it's not that it's that close, but it's a lot closer between them than it is.
2A, 2B, for sure.
Just shit on
All right.
James Robinson some more.
Yeah, he's amazing. 49ers versus the Patriots. I mean, what a weird game this is. I mean, you have
I
this
don't wanna
game
talk
last
about it.
year, you're quite excited. This year, it's pretty awkward. Pretty awkward game here. Niners, the defense looked great. I mean, the offense, you're playing Kittle. You're not playing Debo this week. I mean, honestly, you might not even want to play Kittle. I feel like the Patriots are just going to shut him down. I mean, if you have Kittle and like
They're going to give him the
I don't know,
Waller treatment. before you-
Hawkinson, I don't think or like, Hunter Henry maybe. Well, the Patriots just shut down your best player. That's what they do every week.
Kyle Shanahan getting the ball to his tight end. I trust Kyle Shanahan getting the ball to his tight end in any way possible.
We'll see. Not much to go through there. James White, decent start.
Cam Newton, not a good start this week at all.
No.
All right,
Probably
Bucks,
still
Raiders, best game of the week. Got moved from Sunday night football to afternoon football because
Sad.
the Raiders O-line is all currently on the COVID list. Trent Brown, thanks for being an idiot, not wearing a mask. But it looks like the other 4 starting linemen are going to be back by Sunday if no more positive tests come out. But it's going to be a tough matchup for the Raiders offense. I wouldn't want to start anybody except for Darren Waller. And then on the Bucs side, Leonard Fournette, he's going to be playing this week. Antonio Brown's not going to be in this week. You're probably good starting both receivers and Godwin and Mike Evans. And I feel like even with Fournette back, Ronald Jones against the Raiders, how does that not sound juicy to y'all? I love that.
Very juicy matchup.
Juicy. Yummy.
Shout out Trishan.
Cool.
And a night to round the week off, Bears-Rams. I hope the Bears just absolutely plow the Rams for Jacksonville Jaguar reasons. But I think this could actually be an interesting game. It's the Bears. They have a very good record, and some people think they may be a fraud. I think this is a good opportunity for them to play a team, sort of to their level, and a team that tries to play like them, and that they want to win on the defensive side of the ball. So, I'm going to start with the Rams. Tyler Higbee has been an extreme disappointment this year, and it's not that it was unexpected. It's just I hoped, or I was willing to take the risk on Higbee having the workload that he got at the end of the year last year. The problem is they're all healthy. Josh Reynolds has been involved, and Gerald Everett mainly has been involved in the tight end position. So, Tyler Higbee, I think, could be someone you cut, certainly in a 10, maybe even a 12. And maybe he's a hold in a 14-team league just to see if there's injuries happen. But he's someone I don't necessarily want to be counting on.
Quick trip to the target station. Who's leading the league in red zone targets?
Allen Robinson.
I feel like it's on the Bears and Rams.
It's Jimmy Graham. And you know who's tied with him? Here's a fun one. Mike Gesicki.
Ooh.
Wild.
What's TJ Hawkinson at?
Not number 1. Let's get into
one more thing I want to say on this matchup. Cam Akers at the end of 2 weeks ago rips off this 50-yard run. He ended up with 6 carries for 60-something yards. And Sean McVay after the game's like, oh, yeah, we're going to get him more involved next week. He's going to have a big role against the 49ers. He played 1 snap. 1 more snap than us combined last week. And so it's turning into you
can drop him.
Trust what a coach says anyways, but it's looking more clear that it's going to take a Darrell Henderson injury for Cam Akers to have value at all. And I think if Darrell Henderson gets hurt, that Cam Akers is going to be a very good running back. The problem is you can't just wait on that this time of year. So, Darrell Henderson is someone I think you can be confident starting. He could have a bad game here and there, but they've clearly committed to him getting him touches.
solid analysis.
Love
All right. You can follow us on Twitter at Dudes Football. Let's get into last week's Dude of the Week. I had James White, specifically only in PPR. And I don't know who wrote half PPR because I said it was 15.3 PPR.
Can we just talk about the cop-out of the week?
What's that?
What's that?
That's Mr. Kieran Day picking Justin Jefferson again for Dude of the Week. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson is like –
And it was a bad
You know
dud.
what? I'm going to defend Kieran and say that what's worse than that is all three of y'all not picking him in your DFS lineup. I mean, are you kidding me? He's going against the Falcons. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
I'm sorry.
I don't remember even putting that.
Okay. Well,
I do
Yeah.
got to say, though, Mike Cole Beasley scored as much as your Kenny Galladay against the Jags.
I was banking on 2 touchdowns. He didn't score, so I
He
will
should
take
have.
the L.
He should have. And then Kieran had. I mean, you got to give him credit though. If Justin,
It's
you
a
can pick
huge
just
line.
you can pick Justin Jefferson if he puts up that line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dud of the
Oh,
week,
that's-
I had DJ Moore 5 for 92.
That's like me
probably not
picking DK Metcalf last week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, except you didn't hit, and he did.
He was
Michael
top 5. He was top 5.
he said Woods or Cup. I guess they both were pretty bad. I mean, Woods had the lucky touchdown. Jared had Gurley, and then Kieran another one, which I didn't think should have been allowed as a dud, which was Philip Lindsay. He actually had a great game, 100 yards, almost 100 yards rushing. Let's get into this week. My dude of the week, I've been talking about him all show, Justin Herbert.
I like the dude of the weeks this week. Honestly, I really like Jared's. He's about to say, but DJ Moore for me. I'm doubling down, putting money where my mouth is. He's going to break out and have a touchdown at some point. This is the week.
Ooh, okay. All right,
I love
going
I love
with
that energy.
Michael's guy, Tyler Boyd. Really like him against the Titans' porous secondary.
Horace.
And then Kieran. I do like Kieran's this week. It's Gio Bernard. I think anytime Joe Mixon's not playing, Gio Bernard is a top 20 back. Plug and chug.
I think that Bengals-Browns game is going to be very interesting this week. A lot of points.
All right,
Yeah,
dud of the week.
I like it. The other week, I got it. Antonio Brown. I think he just doesn't have a good week. He probably doesn't even see the field. I'm just kidding. I got. You guys go ahead.
I'm going big. Derrick Henry, fresh off his monstrous line last week.
You gonna bench him?
This is more of a DFS fade than benching him. You're obviously not benching him. Keep him in your lineup. But it's the Steelers. They may have to throw more than they usually do. I don't think he puts up as big of a line.
Here's Derrick Henry's stat line of the week: like 15 for 45, 3 touchdowns.
Literally.
All right, I'm going Juju. I honestly view Juju as like I'd rather.
If he
have
gets
DK
under
I'd rather-
6 yards, then it'll count as a dud.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I view Juju as like very mid-tier, bottom of mid-tier receiver at this point.
I will say though.
Yeah. So does everybody.
I will say though.
Thank you.
To Jared's defense, potentially he has decreased in every game, so we could see a 1 for 4 this week.
Dude, 1 or 5 for 4 or something like that. I mean, that's where they're throwing in the ball. All right, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I don't feel great about this one, but Kenyon Drake. I mean, I think that the Cardinals are going to be trailing all game. They're going to be tossing it up to the best receiver in the league, and also DeAndre Hopkins as well. but fun jokes.
You're talking about Christian Kirk, right?
Yes, I am best receiver in the league, and I don't think I think Kenyon Drake might see he's probably gonna have a 15 for 45 and 1, I'd say, but I don't think.
And Kieran's picking Josh Jacobs.
Against the
Interesting.
Plays
All right, let's get
interesting
into it, Michael. I got this. We just gotta.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, just let me take this one. I got it. Just sit back, okay. All right,
I'm very curious, real quick.
We've gone through 2 years where things are close, and who's gonna win this? Could take over the standings. Michael is dominating DFS this year. He's 12-3. Kieran's 8-7. Jared's 6-9, and I am doing very bad at 4-11. And the real question that everyone wants to know is, will Michael have more losses than I have wins? That's really the real competition right now. I'm winning right now. I have 4 wins to Michael's 3 losses, or should it? That's complicated. But anyways, let's get into your lineups. Mike, who you got?
Kyler, Alvin Kamara, plug and play Mike Davis, Terry McLaurin, Tyler Boyd, Laviska Shenault, Hunter Henry, Gio Bernard in the Bucs D.
I'm honestly very curious to see how many similarities we have, and I can already tell it's going to be a lot. All right, I got Patrick Mahomes, Alvin Kamara, Justin Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Tyler Boyd, Hunter Henry, Gio Bernard, and the Packers defense.
All right, I got Kyler, Giovanni Bernard, Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Dan Arnold, Justin Jackson, and the Washington football team defense.
Where did you save your money? I guess Dan Arnold.
See, I was
Dan Arnold.
contemplating CeeDee or Tyreek.
Well, it's in the cloud. You can't change it now. And
I'm
with that,
keeping it.
we're gonna end things. Yeah, thanks for tuning into Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. If you're in Belgium, I hope you have a wonderful Belgian beer tonight, and kiss your Belgian wife or Belgian husband. There's many different types of, but all Belgians are married is the key.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. We will see you next time, and we are out.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.